A shark's fin was seen splashing through the waters, chasing Masa and his classmate, Mina, who were struggling to reach the shore. He noticed the shark approaching, realizing the greatness of the situation. He then grabbed the piece of wood that keeps them afloat, surprising Mina. He looked at her with cold eyes. The shark aimed its razor-sharp fangs toward them, only to receive a smack on the face from Masa with the wooden plank. The shark was stunned. It then dived back under the water, eyeing on his feet. Meanwhile, Mina was completely submerged in the waters. The shark stalled for no time and immediately attacked, approaching the poor girl. She was drowning, hoping to be saved. But then, a subtle scent of blood in the water piqued the shark's interest. It was from Masa, who injured himself to lure the shark. He gasped for a large amount of air, then dived underneath the waters while carrying a piece of wood. The shark immediately turned to chase him. It was about to bite the lad, but he was agile enough to evade even underwater. He struck the piece of wood in its eye, then sliced through its body. The shark shook its body, trying to remove the piece of wood. Masa swam away. Meanwhile, Mina was continuously falling, feeling helpless as she started to drown. She was still desperately hoping for help. As her eyes began closing, she noticed Masa swimming toward him. He continued to swim, then grabbed his poor classmate. He then swam back up, carrying his classmate in his arms. At the shore, she lay unconscious. Suddenly, she puked water. She looked upward, feeling uncomfortable. She then saw Masa holding her chest. He noticed that she was already awake. An awkward silence ensued, followed by her roar that echoed through the forest. She apologized, realizing he was only trying to save her. Masa passively teased her, to which she growled in response. He implied that they should be okay with it, since they're both medical students. She thanked him, embarrassed. She then asked where they were, to which he had no clue as well. They also learned that there was no signal in that place. She suggested calling the police even though there was no signal. She argued that they can call them even without a signal and a SIM card. She grabbed the phone from Masa, but her message was not sent. An awkward silence ensued. She tried to make an excuse, saying his phone is broken. He climbed a coconut tree instead, asking where she learned that false information. He said that it works without a SIM card, but they must be in an area with a signal. She continued yapping while Masa noticed something from afar. He told her to be quiet, then quickly climbed back down. She continued to whine, to which he immediately covered her mouth to silence her. He threw a glare, then ducked with her to evade an approaching spear. The spear struck the ground. Seeing the spear, she was confused. Movements were detected from the thick forest, surprising the two of them. From there emerged the tribesmen of the island, seemingly dissatisfied with their presence. The tribesmen looked really hostile, to which Masa smiled awkwardly. They charged at them, Masa evading the spear aimed toward him. He was trying to communicate with them while fighting, hoping they could have a proper conversation. But their eyes were filled with the intent to kill. They angrily charged forward, to which Masa felt helpless. The indigenous man unleashed a barrage of spear stabs to which he evaded effortlessly. Another indigenous man leaped from behind him, aiming to attack him. Masa caught the spear, then blocked the bone weapon with it. Suddenly, a kick was aimed at the man's face. It was from Masa, unleashing his attack from a strange angle. He then pulled the other spear, aiming to punch his face, but his back was exposed, prompting Mina to warn him. The fat indigenous man's spear grazed his abdomen. He realized that his attempt to communicate was pointless since they were intent on killing him. One of the tribesmen smiled as he charged the other way, approaching Mina. He kicked her, sending her face first to the ground. She coughed, trying to get up, but the man already had his spear over her. As it was about to pierce Mina, blood splattered all over her face as she called for help. Turns out, Masa had already stabbed the man. His lifeless body fell in front of the frightened Mina. He stepped on the body, pulling out the spear as he faced the remaining enemies. He shook it, removing the blood stains on its blade. One of the remaining tribesmen charged, only to get his neck skewered by Masa. He cracked his finger as he faced the remaining enemy. He let go of the spear and picked up the bone weapon, approaching the last one. He threw it towards him, but he was able to block it. However, the real attack was a sneaky knee strike on his face, sending the man flying several feet away. The bone weapon circled in the air as it fell, piercing the last tribesman's head. Mina was trembling. She wiped the blood and tears on her face. Masa was worried. This girl must have been traumatized. She got up. Her face was dark as she questioned his identity. But contrary to his expectations, Mina was actually amazed by him. As Masa pulled the bone weapon from the tribesman's body, Mina seemed fascinated by what he did. She added that she can testify since the reason he killed them is self-defense. Masa smiled, relieved that Mina isn't scared. She shyly acknowledged him, asking how he was that good. He revealed that he was in the army before going to college, but he was actually a man employed by Shushi, a pharmacist and Yufei's father. His mission was to protect Yufei, staring at her photo intently. But the yacht exploded before he could meet her, leaving him with nothing to do but to hope that she was safe. While Masa was harvesting coconuts for them to eat, Mina called his attention over the presence of people at the sea. When he looked, he saw a lifeboat from afar. Mina was about to rescue them, but he warned her not to jump in the water. Turns out, they were surrounded by many sharks. The survivors were panicking, frightened at the appearance of a whole pack of sharks. Masa glanced at the lifeless bodies and got an idea. He pulled one of the bodies to the water, carrying it on his shoulder as he swam. The shark smelled the scent of the tribesman's blood. Masa noticed the sharks turning in his direction. He laid down on the shore, then kicked the lifeless body toward the sharks. He swam away as the sharks began gathering underwater. As the sharks feasted on the body, he thought of dragging the remaining bodies. Min immediately understood his plan and dragged one of the bodies along the shore. Seeing this, the survivors had a glimpse of hope. They are unwilling to let go of this chance and urged everyone to row faster. They quickly got past the sharks that were distracted by the corpses. The survivors gasped as they reached the shore. Mina quickly checked up on them, to which the counselor, MS Sun, immediately thanked them. She could only imagine what would have happened if it weren't for them. Mina asked about the others, to which she let out a sigh of sadness in response. She recalled the night of the tragedy. People were panicking over the sinking ship. They managed to get on a lifeboat and drifted all night. Mina was surprised upon hearing this. Fang, one of the survivors, stepped forward and thanked her. Mina gave the credits to Masa, to which he immediately introduced himself and thanked him. They shook hands, Fang asking what it was that he threw into the sea. He was skeptical, but he thought it was a person. The remaining survivors were alarmed upon hearing this. Masa casually revealed that it was the bodies of the island's natives, surprising all the survivors. He wore an ominous expression as he said it's better than feeding them live ones. They backed away, horrified by him. Mina scolded Masa for not explaining properly, then clarified that it was all for self-defense. The survivors were still skeptical. Fang proposed to impose necessary restrictions on him. Fang grew paranoid as he proposed absurd suggestions. He even suggested that he must be tied to his sleep. He turned to Mina and assured that he would keep her safe. But Mina was on Masa's side. However, Fang insisted on arguing that he's a dangerous person. The lad grew tired of him overcomplicating things, suggesting to send him back out to the sea if he doesn't want to be around. Mina asked them to stop scolding Fang. She once again clarified that it was out of self-defense. The counselor chimed in. She was in favor of Masa. The annoying rascal clicked his tongue, then smiled as he clarified things. He turned to Mina and apologized, saying he's just worried about her. Yuki, one of the survivors, cleared his throat. He proceeded to introduce himself and asked what comes next. Masa gave him the chance to speak his mind, to which he proposed to secure water and food. He suggested going into the jungle to search for basic necessities. The counselor and Mina turned to Masa and asked his opinion. The lad looked down, weighing their current options for survival, but he deemed it too dangerous to go straight into the jungle. Sun agreed with his opinions, but Yuki thought it's unlikely for a large beast to roam the island. He also believes that they can communicate with the natives as long as they avoid any aggression. Feng chimed in, saying the natives might not be bad people. Mina was pissed upon hearing this. Masa knew it was a subtle attack on him, prompting him to step forward. He picked up the bone blade and charged toward Feng like a raging madman. He swung the blade with all his might. Sun called out, trying to stop Masa. The paranoid rascal thought it was his end. The bone blade slashed through, perfectly cutting the coconut in half and terrifying Feng. An awkward atmosphere ensued while Masa offered the counselor to take a sip of the coconut juice. He handed the bone blade to Yuki, asking if he wanted to try. Yuki knelt and cut a coconut, insisting that they can't just wait either. He added that these coconuts aren't enough for their survival. Masa reached for his pocket, whipping out a wolf's fang pendant, but it was not enough to discourage Yuki from venturing to the forest. He added that aside from food and water, they also need to seek out other survivors as well. Masa considered his opinions, then agreed to venture into the jungle moderately. They went into the thick forest, with Masa spearheading the journey. Yuki exhibited his knowledge about the plants, earning him praises from Sun. They then saw a rabbit leap out of nowhere. He proposed to hunt it, but Masa objected. He said that they might lose their way instead if they chased it. They continued venturing deeper, uncertain of what lies ahead of them. Mina recognized the counselor and Feng's voice as they shouted. She proposed to rush over there since they might be in danger. But then she was surprised to hear from Masa that there was no need. Through the dense forest, the three of them were sprinting away from something. Masa urged Mina to run to the beach. She was about to retaliate when he pulled her and ran away. Sun was lagging behind and tripped over a root, falling down. Mina and Masa noticed it. She was surprised. A wild boar was charging toward the counselor. The boar had a fierce look on its face, unwilling to stop. He immediately stepped forward to help. As the others began running away, Masa dashed to rescue the counselor. Feng approached Mina. He smiled and assured to help her, but was rejected. The degenerate rascal was pissed. Meanwhile, Masa asked the counselor to reach out. Time seemed to slow down as she thanked him while reaching for his hand. But then he abruptly grabbed her arms. He pulled her out of danger's way aggressively. The counselor was caught by Mina, while Masa immediately urged them to run. However, the rat rascal Feng pushed him, setting off his balance as the wild boar charged toward him. He was almost within the wild boar's reach, panicking at the current situation, but his fast reflex was able to save him. He tumbled over the air to evade. The wild boar continued charging toward their direction. He landed perfectly on the ground, but the boar still managed to graze his chest. The boar turned to Mina and the counselor. It roared, frightening the poor girl. She was stunned as it approached. While Masa saw the danger she was in, he quickly leaped. The boar charged forward, scaring Mina. But then, Masa pushed her out of the way, causing him to be hit in her stead. He rolled to the ground, while the boar growled as it laid its eyes on him. He coughed blood, then the bear began charging forward once again. Mina and the counselor could only warn him, uncertain if he would survive. The boar was approaching fast, but Masa was able to tumble his way out of certain death's way. The boar's head hit a massive tree trunk. It fell unconscious with a lump on its head. He stood, coughing. Mina checked up on him, while he told them to stay hidden. He whipped out the bone blade, planning to face the boar. Meanwhile, Feng was wondering how he was able to survive. He glanced at Mina, remembering how he always admired her from afar. But now, this is her chance to stand out, and he must get rid of Masa. He stood in front of the raging boar. The boar leaped, while he waited for the perfect chance to counterattack. He leaped out of the danger's way, then threw the bone blade. It managed to shallowly pierce the boar's butt. The wild boar squealed in pain as it shook its body, trying to remove the blade. It turned to him with a pissed look on its face. Masa noticed a tree beside him, scheming a plan. The enraged boar ran toward him, to which he ran toward the tree from earlier. Mina called out to him, worried. He then set foot on the tree and did a backflip. Once again, the wild boar slammed its face on the tree. It fell down, unconscious. Masa took this chance to retrieve his weapon, then stabbed it on its neck. The boar regained consciousness, glaring at him. It turned to bite him, to which he blocked using the bone weapon. He kicked the boar in its face, letting go of the bone blade. He leaped over it, then landed on its back and unleashed a barrage of punches on its forehead. But this wasn't enough to bring it down. The others came rushing to help him. They pinned the boar down to the ground, while Masa continued pounding on its head. The sound of his punches echoed through the forest. His fists were bleeding as he stopped, gasping for air. All of them were tired, but they emerged victorious against the rampaging wild boar. He picked the bone blade and stabbed the boar on its head, finally finishing it off. As he pulled the blade out of its head, Mina checked up on him. She quickly came over and urged him to stop the bleeding quickly. From behind a massive tree, the two-faced rascal emerged, praising him for taking down the wild boar. Masa approached him as he continued yapping nonsense, then unleashed a front kick to his stomach. He was sent kneeling to the ground, asking what he was doing. Masa revealed that Feng wanted to kill him, to which the two-faced rascal refuted these claims, but he remembered perfectly how he pushed him. As he looked back, he even saw his mug wearing an evil grin. Feng desperately tried to make excuses, but Masa didn't buy it and dropped the blade in front of him. He stood, daring the pathetic Feng to try and kill him. Mina scolded Feng for his betrayal, while the latter continued making excuses. Masa was about to grab the blade, startling the traitorous rascal. He immediately grabbed it, assuming a fighting stance. He lunged toward him, who effortlessly kicked his arm. He then unleashed a hand chop, successfully disarming him. He wasn't done. A vicious elbow landed on his abdomen, sending him slamming to a tree. He winced in pain, then the blade pierced his shoulder. He cried out in despair and agony. Sun intervened, saying Feng might not did it on purpose. She urged him to let him off for now. Masa knelt in front of the frightened traitor, holding the blade's handle. He pulled it, saying a stab on the shoulder won't cut it if he really wanted to kill him. He stood, merciful enough to let him off the hook this time. But as he turned back, he threatened to kill him if he messed up next time. Mina immediately remarked on his wound, saying it needed immediate care. He ordered everyone to drag the boar back to the beach. Yuki immediately complied, realizing how tough it is to have Masa as an enemy. The survivors managed to gather vines. They tied the boar and started dragging it to the beach. As they managed to get out, Mina sat on the ground, exhausted. However, Masa suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head, causing him to fall down. They checked him up and discovered that he had a fever. They raised his shirt, noticing the massive wound on his chest. They were alarmed. The wound looks infected. Yuki contemplated, trying to find a way to resolve the dire situation. Mina told Masa that they needed to disinfect the wound, but his stubborn mug only replied that a nap would make him feel better. They were in a dilemma. An infected wound like this could lead to a life-threatening tetanus. But even though he was struggling, he assured everyone that he'll be fine. He finally fell asleep as Yuki called for immediate wound disinfection. However, they don't have clean water to use for disinfection. Yuki then asked if they were a couple. This seemingly odd question caught Mina off guard. Mina seemed enthusiastic upon hearing the method to disinfect the wound. Yuki handed her a coconut shell, saying urine will be used for disinfection. Amidst the dense greeneries, Masa woke up. He was surrounded by leaves as he scanned the area. Mina was happy about him waking up. She offered some coconut juice, then assisted him with drinking. It was revealed that he was asleep for almost 20 hours. He noticed the bandage in his chest. Turns out, Mina ripped a part of her shirt to wrap his wounds. He then asked if they found water to clean his wounds, to which she replied embarrassingly. Mina was blushing as he asked what they used to clean his wounds. She shyly replied that it was midstream urine. He facepalmed, remembering that it was a good emergency solution when clean water is unavailable. When asked if he wasn't mad, he replied that complaining to the one who saved him would make him petty. She revealed that she had to stay to monitor his condition. He didn't say it, but his eyes were full of gratitude to Mina. He told her that she had gone through a lot, to which she asked why he was being polite. She said that he saved her several times already, and he only helped her once. He asked for assistance in getting up. Yuki turned back, noticing that Masa was awake already as he called him. Yuki told him to just call him just like everyone does, to which Masa agreed. A girl named Tong from class 1 stepped forward, introducing herself. She also introduced her companion Zixin, then thanked him for the roasted pork. Masa was confused, to which Yuki explained how they met the girls at the beach last night. He added that she was separated from her husband and child, leaving him speechless. As they talked, Mina proceeded to pull out the leaves she set up earlier. Ton proceeded to commend him about his heroic deeds from yesterday. Mina chimed in, saying she talks as if she's so familiar with Masa. As they argued, Masa guessed that there must be other survivors aside from them. He then noticed a pile of leaves covering a man. It was the wounded Kuon. They urged Masa to let him off. He contemplated, thinking about letting him be if he behaves. Mina noticed him, urging him to rest a bit more to heal faster. Yuki then invited him to see the setup he made from yesterday. They were able to light the bonfire last night, thanks to the natives' equipment. They also dug a pit that serves as a storage for the meat to last longer. He revealed that he planned to use the smoke from the bonfire to attract planes and ships, but nothing came. Mina chimed in, saying it's not a total loss since they managed to gather new companions. Mina and Tom glared at each other, pissed. They continued their usual bickering when Masa noticed something as he ate the roasted pork. Someone was moving stealthily within the forest. He grabbed his blade, alarming everyone. He faced the forest direction, knowing that there's someone over there. Masa raised his blade, anticipating the man lurking in the bushes. They were skeptical of his guess, but the lad was certain about it. He raised his blade, ready to cut down the bushes. Then a foreign man named Jack stepped forward, raising his hands to show non-hostility. Mina guessed he was another survivor. Yuki greeted him in English, while Masa remained skeptical of the man's identity. The foreign man greeted them, to which they introduced themselves as survivors. Jack told them that he was a survivor as well. Jack and Yuki shook hands, while Mina joked to herself that they just needed to find Rose. Masa spoke in English, asking if he was alone. Mina was in awe that he could speak pure American English. Then that awe turned into shock after realizing that Masa was flunking the English class. Jack revealed that his girlfriend failed to swim ashore. Mina thought that movies are really far from reality. Unlike in the film, where Rose survived, the reality is that Rose drowned. Mina tried to console Jack, who was crying. He then asked how many are the survivors, to which Yuki replied it was just them. He also told him that they had an injured companion. Jack checked up on him, to which Yuki told them that the injury was quite severe. He then grabbed something from his pocket. It was a bottle of antibiotics. Yuki was surprised that he had medicine. He said that he had been carrying it all this time. Yuki shook the bottle and asked for 5 pills, but Jack insisted on giving it all to them. They thanked him, to which he said it was no big deal. Yuki then invited him to eat together with them, pointing to a bonfire. They gathered around the flames, cooking the skewered roast pork. Jack seemed disgusted by the meat. Mina told him that it was wild boar meat. She added that Masa hunted the wild boar, leaving him speechless. Yuki asked him if he wanted to stay with them, to which he happily agreed. He offered him a big piece of meat, welcoming him aboard. Meanwhile, the girls were obnoxiously eating the meat, catching Jack off guard. In no time, they consumed a lot of skewered meats and burped. Jack started eating as well. Masa asked him about what he had been eating all this time, to which he revealed that he's been living off mushrooms and berries for the past few days. He also revealed that he discovered a small stream in the woods where they can get drinkable fresh water. Everyone was surprised upon hearing his revelation. Yuki asked him if he remembers the place, to which he said yes. He was delighted and asked if he could take him there. Jack happily agreed. Masa chimed in, saying they'd been in the woods but didn't see any stream. He said it's pretty hidden, so they probably missed it. He asked how he was able to find such a hidden stream, skeptical of Jack's true intentions. Jack said that finding the hidden stream was just a coincidence. Mina subtly grabbed Masa's arm, whispering they must check it since Jack wouldn't lie to them. Masa fell silent. He thinks that Jack is suspicious. He also noticed a gap in his story. Jack hadn't eaten for days, but he only ate a little pork. Yuki excitedly asked for Jack to take him to the stream. However, Masa stood up and volunteered to go, surprising everyone. Mina expressed strong disagreement as his injuries weren't healed yet. Jack seemed surprised that he was hurt, to which he said that he got hurt while hunting the wild boar. He asked for them to go to the stream, to which he agreed. At the depths of the forest, Masa followed as Jack led the way. He asked if they were still far, to which he assured that they're almost there. He checked on his injury, suggesting to let others join them since they seemed worried. He remembered the girls strongly disagreeing with him going alone, but he deemed it more dangerous for them to follow. He smiled. Another 15 minutes passed and he asked again, to which he replied that they're really almost there. But Masa was already growing more suspicious. Jack tried to laugh it off and said they were really close. Finally, they reached the place. Masa was wondering where the so-called stream was. He asked Jack, who pointed that it was down below. They stood before a deep pit. Jack said it was a sinkhole and that the stream must be underground. Masa looked, only to see a pile of human bones. He was surprised. They are indeed bones, a lot of them at that. From a distance, 2 silhouettes emerged. They looked like mean bandits. Masa perceived the situation being ominous, Jack scheming behind his back. He suddenly pushed him. He just found himself suspended in the air, over the pit. He looked back as he started falling. He slammed into the pile of bones. Trembling, he winced in pain. While he laid down, he heard the voices from above. The 3 of them talked about the details of Masa's group, grinning as they schemed something. They praised Jack for his big contribution, then left the place happily. Masa was worried. Jack was after his group, and he's not alone. He thanked the heavens as he can still move his arms and legs. Fortunately, his spine was alright as well. He realized the greatness of the situation, struggling to stand as he thought about what would happen if he couldn't get back in time. But he was feeling weak, failing as he tried to stand up. He seemed to have given up. He couldn't move. Masa was struggling to stand up. He was covered in wounds as he knelt. Beads of sweat dripped from his face as he panted. He scanned the place, seeing a pool of water from a little distance. But his attention was elsewhere. There was a red mushroom beside it. He was delighted, but then he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back. He fell down, unable to make any big moves yet. He eyed the red mushroom, planning to slowly make his way through there. He knew that he certainly contracted infection as he was wounded by the bones. He also knew that the red mushroom could cure it. He gritted his teeth and steeled his nerves. Grabbing the skull in front of him, he began crawling. Struggle and frustration were visibly etched on his face, but the mushroom was just within his reach. He mistook it for a stone. He shook those random thoughts off his head. He was able to confirm that it's not a stone after feeling its texture. He picked it up, smelled it. He took a deep breath, then immediately munched on the mushroom. A hint of fragrance came out of the mushroom as he began eating it, but he didn't pay it any attention. He munched on it, down to the last bite. He was stuffed, laying down on the ground. Suddenly, he felt the scorching heat on his throat. He rolled and twisted on the ground as his throat burned. He noticed the pool of water from earlier, then immediately hurried to it. He immediately relieved himself, even submerged his face deep in the water. As he got out of the water, the feeling of cold and heat were mixing inside him. He let out a scream of agony from the pit. At the beach, Yuki was sweating beads. He aimed his spear against Jack and his group, while they held his group members hostage. With an evil smile, Jack mocked his attempt of resistance. The bald man urged him to take him out, signifying the impending doom for Masa's group. Masa was intensely sweating, thinking he was going to burn to death. He looked at his hand, noticing something. He stretched his body, and to his surprise, the wounds healed and the pain faded. A chirp was heard from atop the pit, to which he immediately looked to check. His eyes zoomed in on the grass. His eyesight had improved, allowing him to see even tiny insects from afar. Masa was surprised by this. He looked up, thinking of ways to get out. He considered climbing the wall. He put his hands on the surface and noticed that it was too slippery and mossy. He grabbed climbing holds, starting to climb his way out. To his surprise, he found climbing easy. He continued to grab on rocks, feeling like he himself was part of the wall. He's slowly making his way out. He can't help but notice that his senses and body feel enhanced. For him, it was a waste that there was only one mushroom. He took a shallow, quick breath, then grabbed the vine in front of him. Meanwhile, a bandit raised his weapon. He attacked, to which Yuki was able to block. The other bandits also began rushing at him. They unleashed chain attacks. Their intent to kill was visibly etched on their faces. An attack went through, sending Yuki to the ground. He held his injured arm, wincing in pain. The bald bandit laughed, urging them to finish Yuki off. The bandits had him cornered, while the bald man held Mina hostage. He couldn't hide his perverse thoughts, harassing the poor girl. Mina angrily retaliated, to which she was thrown to the ground by the man. She winced in pain. A cloth was ripped. It was the degenerate on top of Mina, while she desperately called for help. She was teary-eyed as the man touched her, but then something quickly flew, hitting the man in the head. Everyone was surprised as the man fell down. Jack was angry. He demanded for whoever did it to show himself. Subtle movements were noticed from the forest. He approached the bushes, wondering who did it. A man can be seen sprinting. He finally got out of the forest. His sprinting was put to an abrupt halt. It was Masa, greeting the bandits with the confidence to deliver his payback. Everyone was delighted to see Masa back. The bald man, with his head bleeding, remarked about his tenacity. He angrily grabbed the knife, then charged against him with the intent to kill. His slow stat wasn't enough to hit the agile lad, who delivered a devastating punch to his gut. His face couldn't be painted, but it's the expression of intense pain. He slashed once again while Masa jumped, landing a counter kick to his face. He was sent to the ground, gritting his teeth in agony. He wasted no time and immediately aimed a vicious elbow at him. This sharp attack landed on the man's neck, making his eyes turn white as he coughed. At this point, Jack was scared. Masa revealed that he crushed the man's windpipe, blocking his airway. He exuded a terrifying aura enough to intimidate Jack. He raised his hand to surrender, while his group mates picked up their wooden weapons and rushed to finish him. But they couldn't land a single attack against his fluid motion. For Masa, the enemy's movements seemed to freeze in time. As he dodged, he noticed his increased speed. He tumbled back, about to pick up the blade beside him. He threw it forward, piercing the enemy's chest. He dashed forward, then retrieved his blade. He faced another enemy who was about to smash him with a wooden club. Another enemy attempted to land an attack, but to no avail. Instead, he was kissed in the head by the edge of Masa's blade. He fell down with the blade stuck on his head, frightening the other enemy. He was so scared. The man they're currently facing was a demon. Another reckless bandit attempted a sneak attack, but the lad seemed to have an eye on his back. He smiled, planning to end this battle. His favorite elbow attack landed an obliterating impact on the man's gut. He was thrown to the air, mouth foaming as he lay defeated in front of Masa. The man's face was full of terror. Then a steel rod immediately pierced his body. It was Yuki, enraged as he mercilessly mutilated the bandit. His last breath was long extinguished, but the furious Yuki continued skewering him. Suddenly, his attacks came to a halt as a hand held his spear back. Yuki was about to attack the one who stopped him, but it was Masa, calming him down. As he regained his senses, he saw the lifeless body of the bandit that he pierced to death. He fell to the ground, screaming in frustration and despair. It was his first time killing a person. Masa looked at him with eyes full of sympathy, but he was frustrated because he didn't know how to provide comfort. He just said that they all deserved to die. He turned to Jack, who was surprised that his group just got wiped out. He immediately turned back to run away. Hearing Masa ask if he thought he could outrun him, he stopped. He pulled the blade lunged in the head of one of the bandits. While Jack tried to make excuses, he was pathetically begging for his worthless life. He knelt and tried to appease him as his life depended on his mercy. He promised not to tell Davis about that day. Yuki was puzzled upon hearing the name. Does Jack have accomplices? He whispered to Masa, urging him to find out who Davis was. The soles of Masa's shoe kissed Jack's face. He fell, nose bleeding as he trembled and winced in pain. Masa faced the sea's direction, saying it was a home to sharks. He grabbed Jack's hair, who was clueless of what was about to happen. Masa dragged him along the beach to the waters. He forcibly submerged his head to drown him, then pulled him back just enough to not let him die. Jack saw the sharks approaching as he coughed. He was teary-eyed, begging for his life. Masa grabbed him by the collar, saying he'd give him a chance if he answered his questions honestly. Fearing to meet his end at the fangs of the sharks, he immediately complied. The sharks were approaching. Masa asked how many there were in their group. Jack said it was just the 5 of them, but he didn't buy it and pulled him deeper into the waters. He asked once again, this time he said there were 20 of them. He also learned that they were on the east coast. Masa pointed at the sharks, demanding Jack to clarify the situation. Lying means getting fed to the sharks. They were gathered by the shore, Yuki asking how many people they ate. Jack revealed about 3 or 4, as well as a few people they captured. Masa was enraged upon hearing this. Jack revealed that their leader, Davis, told them to keep and eat them later. Yuki angrily yelled, "They are nothing but beasts." They also learned that Davis' group had captured about 20 people. He asked if they planned to eat all those people, to which he said only if they can't find other food. Yuki furiously jumped into the waters, while Jack told them they just wanted to survive. Masa suddenly wrapped his arms around his neck, then snapped it like a piece of chicken wing. Yuki was stunned. Jack didn't even notice that he was dead. Masa let go of him, then let his body drift along the waves. He swam away as the sharks began feasting on Jack. As he returned to the shore, he was met by gazes from his comrades. Mina called to him, teary-eyed. He took off his shirt, then handed it to Mina to wear. He laid his eyes upon the lifeless bandits, then took off a shirt from one of them. He washed it on the shore, then wore it. He then urged Mina to immediately put it on. As they gazed at the bloody water, Yuki heaved a sigh of relief as they finally dealt with the bodies. Yuki told him that he shouldn't have killed him earlier so they could find Davis' location, but it wasn't of importance to Masa. Zixin asked if they're going to rescue them. Yuki is in favor of it, but there's a big gap in their forces. Sun was worried that the people they captured might be their student. She frustratedly turned to Masa, urging him to protect them as the people were paying his salaries. Masa revealed that he served in the military in Country F. Everyone was surprised about it, while Tom was clueless. He further explained that he was from Huaxia and joined the Foreign Legion of Country F. Sun was surprised. It was the Foreign Legion with a high elimination rate, and only a few people got in. Mina was clueless, to which he revealed it was just a mercenary group, but Sun knew that it was the only mercenary organization recognized by the Huaxia government. Masa underwent 3 months of training and was promoted to sergeant. He became a sergeant major 1 year later. It was revealed that he could have gotten higher rankings if he stayed in the Foreign Legion. He added that his purpose for joining the military was for the money, claiming he didn't have the noble spirit of the Huaxia military. However, rescuing the hostages is still an option for them. He looked back to what brought him to his current place. He clenched his fist, urging that they strike first in the inevitable clash that was about to come. They laid out the loot gathered from Jack and his group. Yuki was wondering if Masa wanted to test them by hesitating to save the hostages. He clarified that the mission is risky and might harm not just them but the others as well. He turned to Zixin, asking if she agreed. She awkwardly smiled, saying yes. He noticed that she seemed terrified and wondered what might be the reason. Yuki suggested for someone to take care of the unconscious Kuon. Zixin was alright with taking care of him, turning away as she checked on their unconscious member. Yuki suggested that they need to find out where the enemies are located. Masa said that Jack already gave them information, making this mission a bit easier. Currently, the time is 1 in the afternoon. Masa told everyone that they'll get going already. Before leaving, he made sure to prepare the necessities for Zixin: a weapon, coconut water, wild boar meat. She took the spear, thanking him. Everyone held their weapons. Masa reminded everyone of the mission's urgency. Yuki asked what they should do now. 2 hours later, Mason and the rest found themselves crouching stealthily within the bushes. He signaled for them to stop, as well as keep quiet. Everyone was clueless, while Masa was listening for the enemy's presence. He revealed that there was someone ahead. From the thick forest, subtle movements were detected. He told everyone to stay still and hide well. Even with uncertainties, everyone obeyed without question. As they kept their presence low, a voice was heard. Mina peeked through the grass blades, seeing Miller chasing Shirley. He managed to corner her, then they talked about her breaking up with Jack. They began sharing their intimate moment, surprising Mina, who was watching behind the grass blades. She sympathized with Jack, knowing his girlfriend betrayed him. Miller and Shirley laid down on the ground. They began taking their intimacy to the next level, a scene that was too much for Mina's virgin eyes. Her reaction says it all. While Masa called her name, he urged her to step back, to which she nodded. The couple were entwined in a moment of passion. While the atmosphere within Masa's group turned awkward, in attempts to clear such an atmosphere, Yuki coughed and asked what they should do now. Masa told everyone to draw their attention. Mina asked what Masa would do. He smiled, saying he'll stay and wait for the perfect chance. When time comes, he'll ambush them like the prey they were. Miller continued feasting on Shirley's heat, completely unaware of the other's presence. Mina was blushing as she coughed, successfully drawing their attention. Everyone aimed their weapons, while Miller immediately charged toward them. Yuki ordered everyone to run. Miller told Shirley to fetch the reinforcements, while he chased them as they fled. They were anxious that he was catching up, but he told them not to panic. Yuki turned back, seeing that Miller could almost reach him already. Suddenly, he gave a signal. The girls threw a bunch of dirt in the air, hitting Miller in the face. It was enough for them to widen the distance between them once again. Masa watched the situation unfold as they engaged in a seemingly cat-mouse chase. He face-bombed. 4 against 1 should be fine, right? He calmly assessed the situation, deeming that they need to use tricks for them to win. Meanwhile, the reinforcements have arrived. They asked Shirley where the enemies were. She pointed to the direction in which they ran, prompting everyone to follow. They didn't notice Masa hiding stealthily behind the grasses. He then got up and threw his blade, hitting bullseye at one of the bandits' back. He fell down, frightening Shirley. They exclaimed, "The wild man is back." They angrily demanded for him to show himself, but only a moment of silence responded to them. The leader commanded that they divide forces to search for the man, and so they did. One of them went to the place where Masa was hiding. He's so near, but the man was still completely unaware of his presence. He sprung up from his hiding place, holding a knife in his hand. He immediately went for the man's chest, then quickly encircled behind him. He pulled his head back and slashed his neck. He did all of it so quickly that the man didn't have time to process what just happened. Shirley quickly pointed to him after seeing them. The remaining enemies charged with the intent to kill. One of them unleashed a downward slash, but Masa evaded. He tried a horizontal slash, but also to no avail. He continued attacking, but the enemy was too fast for him. Masa managed to widen the gap between them as he fell back. He was grinning, as if he was just playing around. The two men on the other hand seemed fatigued already. He quickly leaped to attack, while the man wore an evil smile as he planned to take on Masa's attack. The man was smiling as he raised his weapon, but his vertical slash was easily evaded by Masa. He extended his hand like a lunging snake aiming for his neck. He charged forward to reinforce his attack, but the man was able to block him. But on a closer look, he was trembling as he struggled to block just a small knife. Masa unleashed a kick to his gut, sending him down to the ground. The attack was so strong that he coughed blood while wincing in pain. The other enemy charged from behind him. He tried to strike him down, but he seemed to have eyes on his back. He even taunted the enemy while effortlessly evading the swinging blade. He also poked fun about him being a cannibal, yet he seemed to be the one next on the menu. He was panting, face etched with visible frustration. Masa smiled, charging forward. He was so quick that the man didn't even realize he got close already. Before he could react, Masa already made a faucet out of his neck, but the vicious cannibal held his wound, then tasted his own blood. Both of them charged as they prepared for another bout. It was his humongous blade versus Masa's tiny pocket knife, but Masa still perfectly blocked him. The cannibal was growing scared already. He blocked Masa's attack with his blade, but Masa wasn't finished yet. He unleashed a storm of stabs. Then finally, the match seemed over. The cannibal fell kneeling to the ground, realizing he was up against Chinese Kung Fugo. Even the tireless Masa seemed to have broken some beads of sweat as he concluded the fight. He walked toward him, while he asked what he wanted. He tried to negotiate as the tip of the knife kissed his neck. Blood spurted. Masa turned his back on the lifeless body of the cannibal. He went to the earlier enemy, whom he rendered unable to fight his kick. A devastating knee landed on his head, followed by a quick gift of death. He flicked his knife to cast off the blood, then picked up a blade as he turned to Shirley. She begged for her life, saying she'd give anything he wanted. She also offered to sleep with him, saying she has so many fun things in her sleeve to keep him happy. But her seduction didn't work on Masa, who said that Jack's probably missing her. Shirley was surprised. The blade pierced her chest before she could react. Blood gushed out from her chest. He pushed her down. As he looked back, his face showed not a single remorse. He covered the dead bodies with leaves while he erased the traces of blood. He sprinted immediately, aiming to take down his next target, Miller. His face shows that he's ready for another fight. But when he arrived, he saw Miller's beaten up, lifeless body on the ground. He was surprised that they were able to kill him. Mina immediately hugged him, sobbing. Masa was surprised by Mina's sudden affection. He realized that she must be crying because it was her first time killing. He tried to console her, saying it was all self-defense. He added that the people they killed were no humans, but rather mere beasts. Tong agreed, saying they're doing it for justice. Yuki asked where he was able to get the blade. He then explained his circumstances, earning Yuki's praise. They thought highly of his strength, being able to fight 5 people and come out uninjured. Yuki now truly understands how merciful Masa was to Kyuan. They encircled around. Masa revealed that there were still 16 of the enemies left. Sun asked if he could handle them all, to which he replied that he was no god. He suggested luring Davis' group to the woods and taking them out one by one. Yuki anticipated that their group would likely send others to search for their missing group members. Masa added that it would be best if everyone would hide well. He added that being with him would hinder his team's movements. Yuki and Tong suggested they split forces to save the hostages, but Masa knew the enemy wouldn't leave without anyone to guard the place. Yuki added that they can handle 1 to 3 guards. Masa feels skeptical of this plan, to which Yuki told him they would only proceed if there are only a few guards. Masa agreed. It was 5 in the afternoon. Davis and his members were searching the forest. Yuki saw them as he hid behind the tall grasses. They revealed there were 13 of them, meaning that there were 3 people left in their base. Yuki pondered on the situation. He said this is the only chance to help Masa, who bears a much heavier responsibility. They were determined. They would rescue the other survivors. At Davis camp, the survivors looked gloomy behind the wooden jail. The 3 people guarding the place were just chilling. Mina was relieved that 2 of the remaining guards were women. They decided that Yuki would take on the guy while the rest would deal with the women. The guards noticed as they sneaked around the camp. They stood up and grabbed their weapons. The rest prepared to fight. The male guard smiled. Yuki charged in response. The man was able to block his blade. On the other hand, the girls prepared to face each other. What ensued next was hair pulling, scratching eyes, profanities. It was pure chaos. Meanwhile, Masa was stealthily hiding as the enemies walked before him. He knew that winning this battle required giving it his all. Masa stealthily popped up from behind, not drawing the attention of the rear guards. He got himself into position, then quietly charged with his blade. Their backs were completely vulnerable. They turned back, and the next thing they knew is that the blade had already chopped off his whole shoulder. Masa dashed away before the other guy could react, then quickly snapped his head. When the others noticed, he had already ran back to the forest. The man called the group's attention, pointing at his location. They quickly charged forward, chasing after him. Masa looked back, then tripped on a stone, causing his balance to become unstable. Seeing this, the man smiled. He charged forward, then leaped in the air to attack with all his guard down. Little did he know, it was all part of Masa's plan. He grabbed the spear hidden behind the tree. He then pierced the man's chest, immediately killing him. He pulled the spear from the man's body as the remaining enemies charged. Masa was doing well with evading the attacks. His defense was tight enough to block even 2 people attacking. But then another one lunged at him with a wooden club, breaking his spear and hitting him in the head. Masa fell down, his head bleeding as he gritted his teeth. They mercilessly bashed him with their clubs, while Masa stayed still and endured the relentless attacks. A wooden club hit him in the back. He felt that one and was actually hurt. He countered an attack, skewering the enemy's neck with his broken spear. He then leaped back. In front of him were 2 enemies, while in his back was Davis and a couple more goons. Davis was pissed that Masa could really put up a fight. He threatened to kill them in response. Davis chuckled, pulling something from behind him. It was a gun. Masa was surprised upon seeing this. He quickly got out of its way, tumbling his way out. But then he was greeted by a furious man with his blade. As he striked, he managed to block him, grabbing the hilt of the blade. Davis aimed his gun at him, chuckling as he was about to pull the trigger. On the other side of the forest, Yuki and the rest were panting, catching up their breaths. He wiped the sweat off his forehead, remarking in their victory. Mina looked out, wondering what was happening with Masa. Back to the main character. Heads were rolling out as he mercilessly swung his blade. He's already taken down a lot of Davis' men. Gunshots were fired as the mastermind laughed. One of those bullets was able to make its way through his shoulder. He fell down, coughing as Davis stood behind him. He spat on his head, saying he wasted so many of his bullets. As the gun was pointed against his head, it was uncertain if he would survive this battle. Davis gritted his teeth in anger. He hit Masa's head with the butt of his pistol, sending him face flat to the ground. He put the gun back in his belt, then picked up the blade. He exuded an aura of a madman as he stood before Masa. He raised the blade to cut him down. Masa mustered all the strength he had, then immediately grabbed his feet. He pulled it, disrupting Davis' balance and making him fall. He was wincing in pain. He wasted no time and immediately locked Davis in a rear naked choke. Davis desperately tried to get out. He punched him in the face, but Masa endured all these as he needed to kill Davis. He gritted his teeth. This is the final enemy. Davis was running out of oxygen. He was desperately trying to remove his arm. He shuddered and coughed, mouth foaming as he started losing consciousness. They remained in that position, Masa not willing to let go. The sun was setting. Sun was surprised by the sight that greeted them. Dead bodies were scattered on the ground. Mina immediately rushed to check on Masa, who was still holding Davis' lifeless body in a tight lock. Tong noticed that his wounds were severe. Yuki and Mina wasted no time and immediately worked on removing Masa from his position. They pulled him out, saying his wounds needed stitching. Yuki asked for everyone's ideas as they were all medical students. They brainstormed, sharing ideas of what they could do to help. Mina went off to grab the fish bones. It was getting dark, and they were grateful to Masa for leaving markers along the way. Yuki was worried for him. hoping he could survive. Sun agreed, hoping for the best. She called out to Zixin and Kyuan, but Yuki stopped her as he noticed something strange. There's no light on the bonfire. Sun called for Kyuan, while he told her to stop shouting. He revealed that they weren't here. The coconut they prepared earlier was missing. Even the wild boar meat they buried was taken away. Sun was worried that they might have been taken away, but Yuki pointed out that there were no signs of struggle. He concluded that there's no immediate trouble even if they left on their own. He urged Sun to head back together with him. Their top priority is to take care of Masa. He deemed Masa was more important for their survival than losing a few teammates. Birds were soaring over the forest and shore of the island. A camp was set up, sheltering the severely injured Masa, who woke up a few days later. He held his head, still feeling pain. He got up and saw the light coming from outside the tent. He went out, then was greeted by the sight of Yuki and Mina together with the other survivors. Everyone cheered for the awakening of their hero. They happily sang his name, to which he smiled and greeted everyone. Yuki urged him to take on the role of the camp leader, but instead of shouldering the survival of many, he wanted to find a way off the island. In this island, camps were competing for scarce resources, this leading to devouring each other. With this, Masa had no choice but to agree to become the camp leader. Yuki, on the other hand, became responsible for internal affairs management. He believes that the strong are not responsible for caring and sustaining the weak. Masa seemed fascinated. Yuki was proposing a new currency they should use. Every shell has its own value, and everyone must earn their share. Masa also took part in the creation of the currency to ensure no counterfeits. Everyone must work in order to earn their living. Mina visited Masa's tent. She happily lent him 10 work points. Yuki revealed that earning 10 points daily without labor is the privilege of the camp leader. He added that this is because Masa is the anchor of the camp. He then bade his farewell, leaving the two of them alone. He looked at the shell, feeling surreal about the current situation. He dug the ground with his hands. He doesn't have any space on him to keep the work points, so he'll bury them. Mina cutely leveled the ground, picking the work points. She told him that he can't just toss it around, to which he stubbornly said he had no use for it. She sarcastically said that his wounds were healed and he could already pick his own food. She pointed her finger on his chest, emphasizing the importance of work points. She turned to check if anyone was listening, then whispered about Yu Li offering private entertainment in exchange for 2 work points. He asked who Yu Li was, to which she angrily answered. Masa didn't seem much surprised after hearing about the news. Mina expressed her strong negative opinion about the matter, to which Masa said that everyone has their own choices and ways to survive. He knelt and fixed his shoe, revealing that he plans on venturing the jungle the next day. He thought it odd that they haven't found a single native camp even after getting attacked by them before. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside, drawing their attention. Several fishermen were seen gloomy and injured. They were being tended to by Sun, one of the camp doctors. One of the fishermen said this incident may cause serious harm to their supplies. Masa asked what was going on. A fisherman being treated by Tong explained that they were harassed by the Dawn camp. Another one chimed in, angrily whining that their harvests were snatched away. Yuki was shocked by the news. With a sad look on their faces, the fishermen cried at this injustice. Yuki whispered, they must handle this incident well. The crowd went into an uproar, crying for vengeance. Masa's face serious. Another storm was brewing. Masa ventured into the forest together with 3 of the fishermen. One of them got mad that they were praising the enemies. They continued bickering with each other as they went on their way. Suddenly, Masa stopped. They're now in front of the Dawn camp's walls. It was rather quiet for such a prosperous camp. An old man that was supposed to guard the gate was sleeping. He woke up, seeing Masa and his men. The old man immediately blew his whistle, surprising them. The troops of the camp immediately rushed over, thinking it was an enemy attack. The troops seemed furious, asking if they were from the Masa camp. He also asked if they were looking for a fight. Masa was unfazed by his enormous stature and demanded they bring Chen out. The man laughed bitterly, asking if he really thought they could meet the boss. The man's muscles did not intimidate him as he continued demanding for him to bring their boss. The man attacked, worrying the fishermen, but their worries were for nothing as Masa was able to evade them. He landed a hand chop on his neck, then proceeded to call for the Dawn camp boss. The man was pissed, thinking his hand chop didn't work. He balled his fist and prepared a punch, but then he felt a sharp pain on his nape. He fell down, unable to lift a finger. His men were amazed at the battle prowess displayed by Masa, while the troop felt the opposite and told him to get out of the camp. He asked what would happen if he refused, to which the camp troops immediately lunged with their spears. Masa caught an enemy's wrist and snapped it, making the enemy writhe in pain. Another camp troop was about to strike him down, but he was too slow to hit him. A vicious elbow kissed his face, while the other man tasted his punch directly in the gut. A man attempted a sneak attack, but it was as if Masa had eyes in his back. He was able to dodge. He landed a liver blow with his elbow, followed by a right hook to the face. The camp troops lay defeated as Masa continued calling for the camp leader. From the crowd, 2 silhouettes emerged. A man on crop top, together with a woman and another guy on his side, stepped forward. He asked if he was Chen, to which he responded with another question. He introduced himself as Chen Chen and asked who his visitor was. Masa introduced himself in response. The Dawn camp leader politely talked to him, who straightforwardly asked for him to hand over the person. Chen was surprised. Masa explained that their men snatched the harvest of his fishermen. The Dawn Camp leader laughed, saying they already ate the fish. He added that they already dealt with the men who harmed them, but Masa insisted for them to hand it over. Behind his polite speech was a mocking attitude, and Masa is definitely not happy about it. Masa clarified that he only needed them to hand over the people who hurt his men. Chen smiled, then ordered his subordinates to give him the bag. Despite the objections, he insisted on ordering them to hand it over. He took the bag by force as they didn't want to give it. He tossed it to Masa, taking accountability for the fish and the injuries they caused. He asked them to consider it as their compensation. They opened the bag and saw 3 pieces of potatoes. The blonde man was enraged, but he was stopped by his friend. He turned to Masa and revealed that they can use these as seeds for their camp. He looked at it, realizing the importance of planting as their resources were growing scarce. He also knew that potatoes can grow quickly, but still, he wasn't satisfied and asked for the others. The Dawn Camp leader refused, saying they were his brothers and he must protect them. Masa used the same argument. His brothers were harmed and he must seek justice for them. With this, their negotiation was broken. Chen cracked his knuckles, saying he needs to get past him before laying a hand on his people. Masa wasted no time, he immediately attacked. His punch was obviously powerful and strong, being able to send the Dawn Camp leader backward. His hands were trembling after blocking. Masa charged once again, his merciless fists aiming to crush the opponent. But Chen wasn't a camp leader for no reason. He landed a counter kick, sending Masa backward. He looked at the opponent. He was displaying his martial art moves. He assumed an exaggerated fighting stance, leaving Masa speechless. Suddenly, he unleashed a devastating kick which he barely avoided. But he wasn't finished. He followed up with a fist. As they continued to clash, Masa realized something. The martial art he's using, it was Teizu Long Fist. He was sent back by the attack, while everyone was rooting for him. As the enemy unleashed a barrage of fists, he was calmly assessing the situation. They exchanged kicks, followed by Masa's signature elbow attack. Chen tried sweeping off his foot, but he leaped in the air, then landed with another raging elbow. This attack was strong enough to force him to kneel. He ducked down to dodge his kick, then unleashed a hand chop aimed against his nape. Masa grabbed his wrist in response, followed by a clash of Chen's knee and his elbow. Finally, he saw his chance. He immediately grabbed his leg, pushing forward. He lifted him, then slammed him to the ground. The Dawn Camp residents were worried about their leader, but he was tough, regaining his footing in no time. As if nothing happened, he immediately charged forward. Masa ducked below his raging fist, then grabbed his waist, slamming him to the ground once again. Chen wiped off his sweat as he prepared for another round, but Masa gave him a sneak throw, pissing him off. He charged with a raging kick, only to meet a checkmate for his precious chess pieces. The silence of that place was deafening, as if mourning for his lost descendants. Everyone was surprised, while Chen was teary-eyed as he cupped his broken jewels. Masa tried to explain, but the subordinate was enraged. They called him shameless for doing such a thing, but Masa believes that he didn't violate any rule by hitting his manhood. He added that this wasn't a competition, declaring Chen's defeat. Still holding together his scrambled eggs, he acknowledged the result of the fight. Masa demanded that they hand him over, to which Chen asked for mercy. He brought up the result of the match. He must hand him to them according to the rules. Both parties fell silent. Masa's words made sense. Chen angrily called out. Moments later, the man named Qian, who injured his men, was summoned. He dared Masa to come at him, to which he immediately charged. He threw a punch, but his arms were grabbed instead. Masa bent it, snapped it as he kicked his knee. He cried, his arms and knees both broken. He grabbed him by the shirt, saying their issues are now settled. He dragged the man along, daring everyone to come at him if they weren't satisfied. With this, he gained the loyalty of their camp's fishermen. Chen and Sheena watched as they went away, Sheena expressing strong objection. Sheena added that Qian got captured, but Chen was firm with his decision. He brought it on himself in the first place. Despite Sheena's objection, he acknowledged that they were in the wrong this time. She resorted to teasing his brother's defeat, to which he said he played dirty. She turned back, saying her brother was useless. Chen contemplated what just happened, realizing their limited resources. He called Sheena, who turned to ask what's up. He asked for their remaining potatoes. He will be taking them to Masa's camp. Sheena grabbed his ear, pissed by what he just said. The two of them continued bickering. Their voices were heard outside the tent. Meanwhile, Qian found himself kissing the ground. It was in Masa's camp. They had returned after fixing the issue with the Dawn Camp. The fishermen with him were proudly narrating the tale of how amazing Masa was. The subject of the tales chimed in, checking on the fishermen. He replied that they are feeling better and can get back to working already. Masa had advised him to focus on recovery first. He proceeded to tell everyone that he brought back the one who hurt them, leaving his fate in their hands. He added that they may borrow from him if they needed a knife. Qian heard this, frightening the hell out of him. The fishermen were touched by Masa's caring gesture for them. They even cried. What a good leader they have. They proceeded to beat Qian, who was crying as he desperately pleaded for forgiveness. Inside the tent were the camp leader, Yuki, and Mina. She pouted, leaving him clueless. Yuki commended his achievement this time. He asked if the Dawn Camp would retaliate, but he replied that they just need to face troubles head-on. He then asked what happened to Mina, to which he revealed she waited the whole day for him, even skipping her breakfast. Masa was clueless. What did she wait for? Yuki thought that he may be smart, but his EQ really needs work. He was about to say something, but then they heard of the news of the Dawn Camp people's arrival. At the Masa camp, the aroma of roasted fish was in the air, making the Dawn Camp people drool. Masa questioned their strange timing. They arrived at exactly dinner. Chen replied that he wouldn't have felt it if he hadn't mentioned it. Yuki expressed their camp's hospitality and invited the guests to dinner. Masa expressed his interest in their notion of discussing a partnership. Chen revealed that their camp has planted quite a few potatoes. Masa already knows of this matter. Chen revealed that he's planning to share half of it with the Masa camp, surprising the camp leader and Yuki. But it comes with a condition: they will have to supply them with 20 fish daily. Before he could finish, Masa said that they should head back after eating. They proceeded to tease them, dreaming in broad daylight. However, Chen still had something on his sleeves. His subordinate whipped out a tablet from his pants. After a few scrolling, he presented the map they'd drawn, saying they could share it with them. Yuki was rather curious that their tablet hadn't ran out of battery charge. Chen pointed to the battery icon, revealing it was fully charged. At this point, Masa and Yuki were totally puzzled and intrigued. They revealed that there were lemons on the island which they used to generate their own power. Masa was intrigued by the idea. He explained the mechanisms of the lemon battery. Chen revealed they had a physics PhD who handles the matter. He said that they need to collaborate as fighting would only lead to mutual destruction. Masa fell into a deep thought. Chen revealed that there were 2 more camps besides them, and one of them has over 100 members already. Masa said they could merge. The Dawn Camp should be merged into their camp. Chen returned the teasing. Masa was dreaming in broad daylight. He proceeded to brag about their talents, but he said they have survival specialists. He said that experts won't feed them, to which Sheena said they would live like cavemen without them. But it doesn't matter to him. Survival is the first priority. Yuki also raised a point. What would the 60 mouths eat and drink if not for survival experts like them? The people from the Dawn Camp were speechless. Hesitantly agreeing, she said that Chen must be the camp leader if they merged, but Masa wouldn't agree, pissing her off. Before leaving, he stopped them. He proposed to trade 10 fishes for 1 plastic barrel. Chen asked what they would use the plastic barrels for, to which he revealed it was for collecting water. Chen was surprised that they have a source of fresh water on the island. They asked where it was, but Masa refused to disclose such vital information to outsiders. He proceeded to say that the merge between their camps would ultimately benefit them. He excused himself, saying he had other matters to attend to. Yuki called him, asking if he was really planning to absorb the Dawn Camp. He agreed, saying it would help them for better survival, but Yuki was skeptical if they would agree to being absorbed. Masa said they'd have no choice in dire situations. He was able to confirm this when he defeated him and forced them to hand over Kian, but still sought cooperation by noon. With this, it'd be foolish for them to not accept their proposed terms. He turned back as he heard a voice. It was Chen coming back. He proposed that they share resources or they won't give the barrels. He added that they won't be rented out as well, but Masa did not accept this proposal. He replied that he couldn't hoard everything for himself, but Masa was insistent on refusing. Chen had no choice. He was pissed. He fell silent, thinking about the situation. They left, with Masa smiling triumphantly. As they were on their way back, Chen turned to Peng. He ordered him to keep a close watch and investigate where the water source was. With their resources running out, they knew that fresh water was crucial. Peng assured them that he would find it. Chen advised him to be careful as Masa wouldn't stay still if he found out. Meanwhile, the crawling Kian was calling for the camp leader. He turned to the fisherman, saying he wanted to see him, but he refused, saying they do not want him to be a part of their camp. However, Kian was insistent on meeting Masa. Suddenly, he came. Kian immediately hugged his leg, saying he'll stay at their camp. The camp leader removed his leg from his grasp, then asked if he plans to stay and seek revenge. He promised not to betray him, swearing with his life. His eyes seemed sincere, but Masa was still skeptical. The fisherman proposed to accept Kian, saying he's a big shot. He added that he could fight, while he added that he wanted to be brothers with them. However, the fisherman still holds a grudge from when he beated him yesterday. Kian revealed that he had a few buddies back in their camp. He could bring them over if he accepted his stay. Yuki greeted Kian. He's interested in his proposal of bringing people over to their camp. He turned to the camp leader, smiling as he cleared his throat. Masa said that they must obey the camp rules if they wanted to join. Kian assured that he would comply, to which the camp leader said he wouldn't spare his life if he did otherwise. He threw a threatening glare, frightening Kian. The camp leader then called for Counselor Sun, asking if she could treat his dislocated arm and leg. Sun immediately complied and started fixing his injuries. A loud scream ensued, echoing throughout the forest. Kian held his hands. He was delighted that he got fixed, even kicking his previously injured leg. He seemed to have fallen for Sun, the doctor who treated him. He forgot that Masa and the others were there. He turned to the camp leader, promising to stick with him from that moment on. Yuki encouraged him to give it his all. Then he offered him coconut juice. As Kian drank it, he asked if he really planned to leave Chen at the Dawn Camp. He revealed that the food he harvests is not for himself but for the camp. Looking back at it, he was pissed with how his previous camp leader treated him. But Masa was different. He fights for his men and provides them a sense of security. Yuki tapped his shoulder, promising he won't regret his choice today. He thought that he's definitely a valuable ally if used right. 3 days later, Masa and his men were on the way to fetch water. He stopped as he noticed someone. They were greeted by Kian, then asked if they were planning to fetch water. He asked them if he could come along to help. Everyone was speechless. Masa asked if his injuries were healed, to which he said it was fine. He agreed for him to come, earning the objection of the others. But despite it, he still allowed him to come. They had objections, but another fisherman whispered that Masa must have his reasons. They continued walking, seemingly unaware that Peng was quietly spying on them. However, Kian already knew of it and reported to Masa. The camp leader already knew of this and went into the wrong direction to mislead the pursuer. Kian wanted to prove his worth. He volunteered to catch the spy. He quickly dashed, while the unaware Peng hid behind a coconut tree. He has been spying on them for days, and they're finally revealing the location of the water source. He resolved himself to learn where they could get fresh water. But then Kian suddenly sprung up out of nowhere. He grabbed Peng's face, then slammed him to the ground. He was shocked to realize it was Peng, his former group member. The latter turned to him with equal surprise, checking how he had been. Kian asked if Peng was mad at him. Peng said that it's right for him to choose sides, but that wasn't what he meant. If he hadn't insisted on dragging him along for the Hawaii trip, they wouldn't have been stuck on this island. Peng clarified that he and the brothers never blamed him, but instead appreciated his kindness. Kian then told him to head back to the camp and let the others know. He added that he would be staying at Masa's camp from now on. The brothers could come if they wanted. They then bid their farewells. Before leaving, Peng asked where they were headed. He was surprised to learn that Masa was willing to take him along. Kian added that he admired the camp leader's skills and character. As his last advice, he told them not to sneak away, but to personally say goodbye to Chen. Peng agreed, then ran back to tell the others. Kian went back on his way, then she heard a familiar voice. It was Sheena, Chen's sister. She proceeded to berate him for switching sides. She even called him a coward and that his brother misjudged him. Kian justified his choice, bringing up how differently Chen and Masa treated him. He added that they would soon follow Masa, pissing her off. The enraged Sheena unleashed a kick, sending Kian back. He threatened her, saying he doesn't have a rule against hitting women. She continued attacking while he was barely able to block it. She kicked his shoulder, saying traitors deserve a beating. Kian was sent to the ground. Sheena was about to land another kick, but a piece of stone flew towards her. She was barely able to dodge. Masa intervened. He's not willing to let anyone hurt his men. Sheena grew even more enraged, veins popping on her face. She lunged forward, kicking the ground. Her vicious kicks almost hit Masa in the face. She maneuvered in the air, turning her body to land another attack. But fancy fighting techniques mean nothing against his defense. He then grabbed her foot, tossing her away into the forest. She gritted her teeth in anger. It's not over yet. She charged forward once again, unleashing a kick to which he effortlessly dodged. But she wasn't finished, following up with a knife. She aimed it at his neck, slightly grazing the camp leader. She smiled, thinking victory was already within her grasp. Kian yelled. He was worried for Masa, who was fighting for him. Kian checked up on him, to which Masa assured he was fine and told him to get back. The battle resumed. Sheena found it arrogant that he still had time to worry for others. Masa did not speak and instead grabbed her wrist, unleashing a palm strike against her triceps. He then twisted it, locking Sheena in an uncomfortable position, but her flexibility allowed her to get out of it. She landed on her feet after tumbling, wrist still within his tight grip. She went in for another kick, but was sent by her own momentum backward as Masa let go of her. She tumbled in the air, landing flashily on her feet. Panting, she wiped the sweat off her face. Masa seemed pissed. He held his wound. Sheena charged once again, her kick landing on air as the camp leader dodged. She unleashed a downward slash to which he dodged once again. Sheena was growing frustrated. She couldn't land a single attack. Half an hour later, they were still going at it. She was fatigued and sweating, while Masa seemed not tired at all. She angrily lunged forward, only to be greeted by a palm strike against her stomach. She slammed into a tree, while Masa went on the offense this time. She tried to keep him away with a kick, but the camp leader pushed her ankle. He grabbed both her hands, locking him in an awkward position this time. She was blushing, stuttering as she demanded he let her go. He was blushing too, coughing as he looked away. She yelled, Masa was a perverted scoundrel. He backed away, while Sheena was intensely blushing. Seeing this, Kian couldn't believe that she could be shy sometimes. Pissed, she leaped forward while wielding her knife. Masa stopped her, saying she was no match for him. Hearing this, she was enraged, but Masa replied, he's not the one to blame for going too far if she keeps pestering him. Sheena held her body, frightened. She called him a stupid pest. He replied that there's no deep-seated hatred between their camps, but Sheena seemed to be igniting a war by launching lethal attacks against him. She instead pointed her knife at him as she couldn't think of a reply. His words made sense. She turned back, fuming. Kian warned him of the trouble, but Masa was confident she could not touch him. Sheena continued traversing the forest on her way back. She was slashing whatever she comes across with, venting out her frustration. Then she noticed something. 3 silhouettes of men emerged from a distance. They were from the same camp as her, trying to hit on her. She seemed delighted and asked how they were going to help her. The men drooled as they looked at each other. He extended his arms, unable to hide the lust devouring his system. Sheena immediately grabbed his thumb and snapped it, then delivered an obliterating knee to his gut. She wasn't finished. She unleashed a roundhouse kick to his face. His face was swollen as his comrades caught him. She exuded an ominous aura. They really had to do that when she was in a bad mood. She stood before their frightened mugs, then gave them a beating of their lives. She left them full of lumps, threatening to fight anyone she saw from the Dawn camp. Meanwhile, Masa and his men reached the water source. They were skeptical after seeing the pit, the same cave full of human skeletons. Kian carefully went down the pit through a vine. He was struggling, to which Masa told him to just slide down. He was nervous, but he followed, only to find himself on top of the pile of human bones. He looked up, thinking it doesn't seem that high. He then realized it late that he was standing on top of skeletons. He picked one up, wondering who would toss those bones there. He remarked that these bones seemed to have been here for years. Masa asked if he didn't know about the natives, to which he said he never saw one. He opened their gallons, saying he's lucky to have never met one. Kian asked him to describe the natives. He said they were very primitive. He added that they were like cavemen, prompting him to ask where they were now. Masa revealed he didn't know as well, then asked if he knew anyone named Zixin or Kuan, but Kian never met nor heard anyone with those names. Kian did well with filling up the barrels. Since they fetched water today, they won't have to do it tomorrow. The men from Dawn camp who left together with Peng were ordered to take the empty barrels. Yuki seemed to have objections as they needed to guard the camp. Mina and the girls told them that they'll go with them, but Masa wanted them to stay at the camp. However, they haven't bathed with fresh water for days. With seawater bathing, they were practically marinating. They wore their cute faces, asking if they could tag along. Masa had no choice and allowed them to come. Mina hugged his arm, thanking him. He then urged them to get ready to head out. Meanwhile, Sun and Tong noticed their interaction, smiling mischievously. Within the forest, the men walked while carrying the barrels of water. Peng asked why Masa would reveal the water source, to which Kian said it was because they were already members of the Masa camp. He added that they shouldn't let his quiet demeanor fool them, as he sees through everything. Kian said that there probably was no water at the Dawn camp. They revealed that they had a bit of coconut juice, not even close to enough to quench their thirst. He was anticipating what Chen and Shina would do about the situation. He smiled, planning to head back to the Dawn camp for a bit after fetching the water. When asked why, he only responded with a sly smile, confusing the others. At the water source, Masa and his people filled their gallons. They hung it on a rope, then transferred them to a bigger barrel. Time quickly passed, and it was night time. The girls were delighted that they could finally take a freshwater bath. Mina pulled Masa's shirt, asking him for a favor before going up. Mina asked for Masa to stay with them for a moment. He then told everyone above head back to the camp first. Kian smiled playfully, assuring they will get the job done. Finally, the four of them were left alone in the cave. Sun proposed for Masa to go up first, to which Mina and Tong strongly objected. She had no choice and agreed. Mina asked Masa to face away from them and not look back, to which he agreed. He turned back, eyeing on the entrance of the pit. The girls began undressing. Their beautiful shapes were gatekept by the cave's darkness. They continued, while Masa remained facing the other direction. With her radiant body, Sun knelt by the pool and urged everyone to bathe away from the water. However, Masa assured them that they wouldn't contaminate the pool since it was not stagnant. Silence ensued, Masa still not looking back. Seeing that he remained still, they heaped a sigh of relief. The camp leader was thinking of his family back home. He recalled that he just joined the Foreign Legion for the money. As he continued to contemplate, the girls were taking their sweet time cleaning their bodies. Masa looked at the stars, thinking that the salary he got was the best he could earn. He wouldn't have left the Legion if he wasn't offered more money. Suddenly, a scream shattered his train of thoughts. He immediately turned back and rushed to see what was going on. He blushed at the sight of their exposed bodies. Mina pointed to the rotten log. As he looked, he saw a massive centipede crawling inside it. He immediately slashed off its head, then stabbed it in place. He carried it with him, saying they could get some protein now. The girls were disgusted. They covered their bodies. Masa went back to his place quietly, surprising the girls. Sun urged everyone to hurry as it was getting late. As they finished, they began wearing their clothes back. As she wore her shoes, she was about to ask, but Masa assured her that he didn't see anything. Sun felt relieved, but still embarrassed. They told him that they were all done washing, to which he urged everyone to head back. He went up first, climbing his way to the top. They got out of the pit. Mina asked him if he saw everything, but he assured that he didn't. She pouted, saying he's lying and needs to take responsibility. He clapped back, asking if she was responsible for herself or for the counselor and Tom. Mina was pissed. Suddenly, someone came rushing. He reported of the trouble currently happening at the morning light camp. The man was panting as he reported about the urgent incident. He was sweating profusely. Yuki remembered that he was with Kian at the morning light camp, asking why he was the only one who returned. The man revealed that the morning light camp got into a fight with the Dawn camp, piquing his interest. He implied that Kian was planning to persuade Xinyu and Zheng from the morning light camp to join them. The girls were surprised. Turns out, Zheng was a superstar. Yuki clarified that he likes Xinyu and did it for her. The man further elaborated the situation. He then acknowledged that Chen and Shina were tough opponents, but it was revealed that the enemy has two strong foreigners and they couldn't handle it. As the situation escalated, he rushed to warn Masa. Yuki asked for his opinion, to which he said that Kian is one of them now and they can't just ignore it. Another thing, the enemy winning would lead to devouring their forces, putting their camp at risk. Masa then asked who Zhen was, surprising everyone that he doesn't know of such a celebrity. Mina told him that she was a superstar, and he would have seen him on TV even if he's not a fan. However, Masa does not watch TV, making Mina put on a hopeless expression. At the sight of chaos, the screams of violence filled in the air. Masa and his men watched silently as the situation unfolded. They couldn't tell who's who, making them unable to help. Chen pulled his sister away. He spotted Masa and asked for his help. Masa told his men to stand by. From behind, Dick charged forward, trying to attack the siblings. His kick was blocked by Chen, but he wasn't finished as he balled his fist to follow up a punch. It connected, sending Chen backwards. From behind, he was greeted by a kick from another enemy named Bruce. He fell in front of Masa, who seemed enraged by what was happening. The goons took notice of his presence, but he was quick to attack, not giving them time to react. Dick's fist was trembling as he continued putting on bluffs. He rushed to attack him, but he was too slow to land an attack against Masa. He ducked to dodge his kick, then landed a palm strike on his chin. Dick was knocked out, unable to continue for another round. Suddenly, a kick from Masa was unleashed against Bruce. He struggled to block it. They engaged in a ferocious fist fight, but then Masa poked his windpipe. He coughed, struggling to breathe. He saw this opportunity and immediately charged to attack. His fist connected to his fist, another landed to his gut. He managed to knock Bruce out with that 1-2 combination. But then another person chimed in. It was Fugo, questioning his identity. He nonchalantly introduced himself, to which Fugo immediately recognized him. With a threatening tone, he advised him not to get involved. Fugo and Masa stood face to face. Masa asks if he was the leader of the Dawn camp. He formally introduced himself in response, to which Masa tried to mediate the matter. The pissed Fugo believes that the death of his brothers must be repaid. He then asked if he could see their bodies, to which he immediately agreed as he wanted to hear his thoughts. He ordered for everyone to stop fighting, then led Masa to where the corpses were. Before them laid 3 dead bodies covered in leaves and cloth. They took off their covers, exposing a gruesome sight that made them retch. Masa proceeded to describe how brutally they were killed, asking if Sheena could do these to them. As Fugo strongly believes it, she retaliated and denied the accusations. They engaged in a heated argument, to which Masa intervened and mediated. He asked Fugo if he thinks Sheena could be so brutal, but Fugo couldn't think of another explanation, to which Masa revealed that there were savages on this island. Everyone was surprised. Then this surprise turned into laughter from Fugo, but he and his men were pissed in reality. Masa asked Chen to turn on his flashlight, to which he immediately complied. They checked the corpse once again, deducing that the killer used a non-metal sharp weapon. He added that metal creates clean cuts, but the wounds on the corpse were jagged, likely made by a stone tool. But Fugo was still skeptical, saying he had never seen savages since his arrival. Masa ordered one of his men to hand it over. A primitive tool was handed to him. Masa showed it to Fugo, revealing that he got it from the savages who attacked them back then. He was starting to believe with all the evidence presented. Masa added that they never showed up again afterward, must be hiding somewhere on the island. Fugo asked where they might be hiding. He revealed that the central forest of the island still remains uncovered. One of Fugo's men remarked that they weren't savages but demons. The atmosphere was serious. The deafening silence devoured the chaos from earlier. Everyone was speechless. Masa emphasized on the implications of fighting amongst survivors. Fugo contemplated. He knew that his words made sense. He then proceeded to let things slide, but he said that his people can't die in vain. He extended his hand to Masa, signifying his respect. Before they left, he asked when he would visit their camp. Masa looked at them. He'll definitely come when he has time. The matter was finally settled. Chen asked him to get going. However, Masa was only there for his people. He called for Kian, who raised his hand from the crowd. He got scolded by Masa for bringing water to other camps. As they were about to leave, Kian asked for them to wait a second. He went to Xinyu and invited her to come with him. She turned to Zhang, her beautiful boss and a celebrity, asking for her opinion. Zhang reasoned that they weren't familiar with the Masa camp, so they wouldn't be going. She smiled, leaving Masa confused. Xinyu told Kian that she won't be coming without her, but he insisted on inviting her. But she was so attached to her, she can't just leave her behind. Kian was trembling in exasperation. He snapped, revealing that Fugo clearly sought their lives. Zhang was speechless. She knew it was true. She asked about the situation at the Masa camp, to which Kian immediately bragged about how good their camp was. She asked if they could guarantee their safety. He assured them no one would dare touch them with him around. Hearing this, the girls agreed to come with him. He called Masa, who was currently talking to Chen. Sheena was pissed and asked what he was doing, to which he dismissed it as Zhang and Xinyu wanting to go to the Masa camp. Sheena snapped, enraged by the fact that he's taking Dawn camp members toward their camp. Chen stopped her, asking for her to let them go as they were short on food and supplies anyway. Kian proceeded to introduce the new camp members to Masa. Zhang extended her hands to greet him, saying he didn't expect him to be young. He turned to the gloomy Chen and bade his farewell. They happily turned back to leave. Zhang couldn't help but smile, still speechless. As she followed him, she asked if he did not recognize him. She told him about the TV dramas she starred in, but Masa did not recognize her, not in movies and in shows. He revealed that he grew up in the mountains and spent over 2 years in France. In her mind, Zhang thought that Masa was impressive. Sitting by the bonfire, Yuki couldn't believe that he managed to bring her back to their camp. However, Masa does not really show any interest in her. As they glance at their camp members, they realize that survival isn't their most pressing issue. With the rising emotional exhaustion, Yuki knew that having a celebrity like Zhang in their camp is already a big deal. Her presence is like an entertainment performance during wartime. Changing the topic, Masa asked if he had paper and some pens, to which he confirmed. He asked him for one notebook and a pen. He plans to draw a map. When asked how many people he'd bring, he said that he would go alone. Within the forest, the law of the jungle was observed. As the snake bit the frog, Masa sliced off its head. He took note that the deeper he goes through the forest, the more dangerous it gets. However, creating the map is essential for them. He looked up, delighted to see a papaya tree. He munched on its fruit, thinking he could go even deeper. He whipped his notes, revealing the progress of the map he's drawing. He crouched behind the bushes. Savages finally appeared. He looked down, noticing a trap waiting for him. He remarked that these were primitive but deadly, noting that they seem highly social. He approached the bonfire. Beside it was a silhouette of a man tied. He seemed disgusted by the sight of it. He poked the charcoal. There was remaining human meat being cooked on top of it. He noticed a severed foot within proximity, remarking that the wild men were turning on each other. Suddenly, he was alarmed. He whipped out his knife, detecting the presence of someone. Masa was deep within the forest. He saw the savages bringing fresh human bodies with them. They were singing a tune as they tied them up. The other one did the same with a woman. He then stabbed her belly. Masa saw all this, disgusted by how easily they killed the survivors. As he continued watching the wild men feast on their catch, a snake was sneakily creeping beside him. It lunged to attack Masa, surprising him. The snake opened its mouth to bite, but it was snapped shut as he pressed his thumb on its neck. Because of this, his presence was detected by the wild men. They wasted no time and immediately charged forward. He threw the snake in response. The snake bit the wild man on its neck, but he devoured it like it was nothing. The other one raised his weapon to attack, to which Masa blocked with that little knife of his. The wild man gritted his teeth. Instead of his flesh, the wild man tasted his kick, eating it directly to his gut. Masa remarked on their immense strength, realizing he can't engage in a head-on battle. The wild man continued to press forward, but his attack landed on air as he dodged. However, the other one managed to grab him. He struggled to get out his grasp. He gritted his teeth. The situation isn't good. He continued to try and get out. The wild man's grasp was slowly loosening. He unleashed his favorite elbow attack to his gut, then kicked the one in front as he broke free. He did not stop there and continued pressing forward. The wild man swung his weapon to keep him away. The wild man behind was coughing, his face getting distorted and his veins turning purple. The remaining wild man charged as Masa realized that the snake venom was finally kicking in. He dodged the attack, thankful that he was able to quickly take down one enemy. He knew that he wouldn't win with brute strength, prompting him to rely on his speed. He swung his knife, unleashing a relentless storm of stabs against the wild man. He evaded his attack, then they stopped for a brief moment. The wild man wiped off his sweat, then suddenly threw his blade, to which Masa dodged. He turned his back to run away, while Masa began chasing after him. He noticed that he was luring him to a trap. It was a good thing he noticed it in time. Moments passed by and they continued running. The wild man began climbing the stones, cornered by Masa. He then climbed as the wild man waited for him. Suddenly, a piece of rock came rushing to his face. Luckily, he was able to dodge. He went back to climbing, only to see him preparing another boulder to bash